Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Stephanie and we will be doing an oracle card reading for the week of June 20th through 26th, 2021. Welcome if this is your first time visiting my channel, and this week we'll be focusing on the energy that is kind of coming in and surrounding the full moon, which is called the strawberry full moon this week, which I think happens on Thursday in most locations, so June 24th. So looking for that kind of energy of what we want to let go of, what's no longer serving us, what do we want to kind of let flow out of our life to make room for what we want to create more of. So this week I'll do a crystal card from Healing Crystals deck number 6. So we'll draw just kind of a crystal themed energy or a crystal we can work with this week. And then a new deck, a deck I've never used here on YouTube before, the Sacred Earth Oracle. We'll draw 7 cards from this deck, one for each day of the week, and then we'll talk about those after I draw those. So as you'll notice if you tune in each week, I'm back to my old space, but it's not my old desk. I'm still kind of in space limbo right now. I haven't landed where I'll eventually be in the house permanently. So it's a little awkward, but I just had to be back in this space. So, but I do have things balanced on my lap, so if I lose control of everything in the middle of the reading and you don't see me, it's because I'm on the floor gathering everything back up. But it's fine. Okay, let's get started with our crystal energy. And again, we are in the week of June 20th to 26th with a full moon on June 24th. But if you do stumble across this reading outside of that time frame and the guidance resonates with you, it's totally fine to take it whenever you come across it. So the crystal that comes up for this week to support us is tangerine quartz. So tangerine quartz connects those lower chakras, those chakras of stability, things we needed to feel grounded, centered, rooted, sure of ourselves. So root, sacral, solar plexus chakra. Its 3 keywords are understanding, acceptance, and growth, which sounds like it could be slightly uncomfortable but very productive. So we'll see what comes out of the oracle deck this week. Tangerine quartz's affirmation is, I release all judgment so that I may grow spiritually. So that's good for the full moon energy. It's about leaving things behind that don't serve us, like judgments, so that we can move forward and grow. I release all judgments so that I may grow spiritually. So there is your crystal energy for this week. Tangerine quartz. Okay, and then I will go ahead and draw all 7 cards from the Sacred Earth Oracle deck, and then we'll talk about those one by one. Okay, so let's start with Sunday, which would be June 20th. Oh, perfect. We have the potential card. So if you tune in frequently, you know, like for Sundays, I like cards of potential. I like cards of self-care. I like to really set us up in a positive space for the coming week. So this is perfect. This is the potential card. And it speaks to how you can draw on stored energy, sort of that energy bank we all have, which, you know, sometimes we allow to get a little more depleted than other times. So this is not a card of forewarning, but it's a card of observation. Like, how full is your well? How full is your energy bank? Because you're going to need it. You're going to need that potential energy stored up. So energy from, it also speaks to energy from past experiences. Where have we stored that energy? Because the energy from our past experiences and the energy we have banked is how we shape our potential futures. So you can continue to store the energy that you've banked through past experiences or through, you know, relaxation and self-care and these supportive exercises and practices, or you can choose to spend some of it and unleash it and let it expand. And sometimes life is cyclical and life is about ebb and flow. So sometimes we are meant to bank this energy and bank the experiences and the knowledge. Other times we are meant to expend it and let it go and let things grow and expand. And the message I keep getting intuitively is, and this has come up in past week's readings, is we're still kind of in that holding our breath, waiting energy, and that things aren't going to really flow and expand till around July. But we're getting there, we're getting close. So I feel like this is a little bit more expansive energy. This is a little more of the energy of the potential that's coming. Have we been banking our energy? If not, slow down a little bit this week. Bank some energy. Spend some extra time relaxing, meditating, walking, whatever you find rejuvenating, whatever fills your well back up. This is how, by filling those wells and by banking this energy, that is how the possibilities and the potentials become your reality. So, potential card for Sunday. What are we creating? What are we expanding? What is our potential for this week? And then Monday, which would be June 21st, we have the context card, which I really like. But it says be mindful. So this is a time, of being mindful, a time of being mindful, especially surrounding communication, is coming through very clearly in a lot of readings lately. So being mindful, especially concerning communication. And that's what context screams to me, is focus on the big picture. Don't be nitpicky today, this week in general, but specifically today, going into the week, setting yourself up on Monday. Don't pick things apart. Be careful not to read too much into things others say. They may be having issues with communication. So don't, hold anybody's feet to the fire and say, but you said this, but you did this. Kind of let things go, especially things that people say in passing or that might just flit into your consciousness. This is not a day for latching on to things, especially things that could be misconstrued. No dissecting today. No overanalyzing today. Look at the broader context, the big picture, and let the rest kind of roll off your back is the message for today. So being mindful of the context in which you receive information today. So that's our Monday energy. And then Tuesday, we have the repetition card, which is interesting because we're entering into the full moon energy pretty strongly today. If it's on Thursday, it's about 3 days before and 3 days after each moon. So we would be kind of starting to really feel that full moon energy today. Which has us maybe thinking about what we want to let go of, thinking about patterns or history repeating itself, breaking cycles. A lot of times that sort of energy comes up, doing things differently. And sometimes all of that can leave us feeling sort of trapped or anxious. Like, am I just going to keep repeating the same thing? Is anything ever going to be different? And yes, it is, because you're more aware now. So take a deep breath, take a moment today, and recognize that sometimes we have already let go of the pattern, but we still, from an observer's perspective, can see the cycle. We're not still engaged in the pattern. It's not going to repeat itself anymore. But we can observe the cycle, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that the pattern is going to return. It doesn't mean that we're helpless victims of our circumstances. We are in control of things. We are self-aware. So during this cycle, we can react differently to these things resurfacing and coming back up for us because we're no longer attached to the old patterns. We're no longer attached to our old ways of being. Today is about self-awareness. This gives a nod to the previous day's card too about context. Is it a pattern I don't wish to engage in anymore, or am I simply observing a cycle? The context is important. So just being aware and seeing things as far as, am I in it or am I observing it? So then Wednesday, which would be June 23rd, ooh, The perspective card. Interesting. Perspective and context are energetically related, right? They seem similar energetically. So a pattern or behavior reveals more than something said in passing. So, really looking at the context of things. Go deeper or go higher, whichever seems to fit your situation. Maybe it's both. Do we need to make a deep dive into something and really uncover the roots of it, or do we need to go higher and see it from a less attached perspective? Could even be both this week. Your higher self can see the deeper meaning, but also the higher meaning, because it's not looking through the emotional lens or the perspective that the ego looks through. So, detachment is always good when you're looking for a new perspective on something, a less emotional perspective on something. So that is our Wednesday energy, as the energy of perspective, very tied to context. So then our Thursday energy, this is the day of the full moon, the strawberry moon. We have the stretch card. This card is about kind of reaching for the big dreams, reaching for the sun, knowing that you have taken care and done the work necessary to assure your roots are anchored and grounded and protected so that you can let go and stretch a little bit today. So this is, being mindful the beginning part of the week and in our lives in general, recognizing patterns for what they are, recognizing context for what it is, seeing where our perspective really is, being self-aware, being mindful are the messages that are coming through. And when we are those things, we can relax, we can take a deep breath, we can stretch and look at the big picture. So that's our full moon energy, our energy for Thursday. It's the stretch card, relaxing a little bit into the week. And then Friday, which would be June 25th, we have the heat card. So heat is an agitator, right? Do you remember anybody who's even remotely close to my age? Do you remember the Jiffy Pop popcorn that you would put on the stove and you would just agitate it with heat until it finally popped? That's the energy of this card. And heat's necessary, right? You don't just look at the popcorn and expect it to pop. Sometimes heat is necessary. Sometimes agitation is necessary. Heat is an agitator. It causes things to happen. Things like growth. It might feel unstable, it might feel uncomfortable for a moment, but when things do cool down, when we get out of the heat, kind of like metal that has been forged, we are stronger for being through the process. So today is about recognizing that maybe we're still in the forge, maybe we're still in the heat, maybe we're still in the flame, but we are currently being made stronger so that we can recognize what it is we want, and everything is more clear. We have a clearer perspective when we emerge from the fire. So today, the heat card. And then Saturday, back around to the end of the week, we have, it's the perception card. So context, then perspective, now perception. This says rely on your first person observations of things this week. This is super important. It's a good life lesson in general, but this week it is extremely important in order to avoid taking things out of context and misunderstanding things. So rely only on your personal knowledge, the things you know. No hearsay, no a friend of a friend of a friend told me that you might have done this. None of that, or this worked for that person, why doesn't it work for me? First person experiences, first person observations are what we're looking for this week. Don't take things out of context. Your thoughts and perception of situations can be clouded by emotions, like in the heat of the moment, or by misunderstandings. So this week's message from start to finish is be mindful. Be mindful of the context in which you receive information. Be mindful of your actions. Be mindful of your reactions. Be mindful of your perspective. Be mindful of the heat. It could be heated communication or conversations or heated emotions. But most of all, be mindful of your perception of things. And be sure that you are looking at the big picture from a higher, less emotionally attached perspective in order to get the most out of this full moon week. So those are your messages. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing to this channel. It helps other people find it. If you are interested in a personal reading, I will put links down below, and I hope to see you next week.